How different is preparing for this Creighton team compared to the last 4 years? You don't have Kalkbrenner in the middle of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I look at this Creighton team is they're playing their best basketball this season. Their last 2 games have been very impressive with their win over Oregon and then making 17 threes in their last game over Nichols. I thought they really moved the ball well and shared it. And, even looking at that tournament in Vegas, they had one possession game with a very talented Baylor team that's going to be up there at the end of it with the Big 12. And then, I think Iowa State's playing as good as anybody in the country right now. So, listen, with a game like this, we better be ready. We got smacked in the face here a couple years ago in this building, and it wasn't pretty. We did a great job last year. I thought, going out there and just playing a complete game from start to finish, and that's what it takes in a game like this. They're obviously unbelievably well coached with Coach Mack and their staff. They do a terrific job of putting a game plan together, and whatever we're playing against, we have to keep our movement. That's when we're at our best. And, it's been a long layoff for us. Last time we did this in this series, it didn't end well. I think we had a week off before we played them in this building the last time. So, for us, it's important to get off to a better start. We obviously have not done that at home. We've done it on the road better for whatever reason. And in a game like this, hopefully get out of the gates quickly and get our fans behind us right away.
What is your message to the team in a rivalry game?
It's just really for us. And, I'm sure the same thing for Creighton. Anytime you play in a game like this, you can't overhype it. These guys are going to go out there. They're going to be, juiced up anytime you play in a game like this. So, just go out there and prepare the same way that we have in this winning streak that we've got going right now. And, I know people use this cliche all the time. It's just another game, but that's how you have to prepare for it. You can't put, extra emphasis on this game. I think you make your players tight when you do that. So for us, it's just going out there and continuing to do the things that have made us successful and to work on the things when we haven't been very good. And, this week has given us an opportunity to work on some of those things. Creighton, again, I thought they played terrific on Tuesday. And, the way that they sprayed the ball around and made shots, and it was everybody. They all made shots. It was a really impressive performance. So for us, we're going to have to be on point. If we want to have a chance to win this one, we have to play a complete 40-minute game.
Your connectivity on both ends of the floor has been pretty good so far this year. How important will that be on Sunday?
Yeah, we do have to stay connected, and I'm confident this group will do that. That's been one thing I've been really impressed with this group is the chemistry, just going out there playing for each other. When we've had a hot hand, our guys have done a really nice job of finding the right guy. And, we've really tried to keep things simple. When we overcomplicate it, that's when we get ourselves in trouble. When I look back at that last game that we played, we had a very poor start. We had a very poor finish. In between, defensively, we were really, really good and had good activity. Got a lot of deflections, and that's what helped our offense get going, and that's when we opened up a 16-point lead. But our start and finish was not good enough. And, if you do that against a team like this, it's not going to end well. So, for us, again, it's just got to be a complete 40-minute effort. We worked on starts. We've worked on it all week, and that needs to carry over in the game on Sunday.
Is there anything extra that Pryce is providing the week in preparation just with his knowledge of the Iowa guys?
Oh, I think we've got a pretty good feel for those guys. They're two of the better players, that certainly in their program and their league that you have to prepare for and go out and execute the game plan. Freeman, I thought his last game was his best. I think the injury that he had, slowed him down a little bit early, but I think he's in top form right now, and he's playing really efficient basketball. And then Dix, I love that kid with the way he plays and his ability to hurt you from three level scorer, and really competes on the defensive end as well, and a great passer. So, we have to go out and execute. That's the biggest thing on both ends. And if we do that, we'll give ourselves a chance.
Fred, given your team's undefeated start and the opponent that's coming here, it's a Sunday afternoon, what do you expect in terms of the environment that awaits?
Yeah, there's always a great environment in this game, and we need to give our fans a reason to get into it right away, right from the jump, right from the opening tip. And, if you do that, it's one of the best home court environments in the country. and we have to give our fans a bigger reason to get behind us from the beginning of this game. We've had a lot of really good stretches. I'm not downplaying, where we are right now with the fact that, I think there's, 12, 13, 14 teams that are undefeated right now. So we've played some really good stretches of basketball, but we have to give a reason for our fans to get into this game right away. But yeah, it's going to be electric. It always is, whether it's at CHI or whether it's Pinnacle Bank. It's always a great atmosphere, and it's a fun rivalry and a game that our guys will remember. I certainly remember the times I played in the rivalry series with Iowa when I was playing at Iowa State. Those were always really fun games for the players. Not so much for the coaches, but they're fun for the players.
How do you work on starts in practice? Is that more of a physical thing or mental thing?
You just try to simulate it as well as you can, Wilson, and you jump it up and you play to the media. And, then if you get off to a good start, then you challenge the bench to go out and keep the momentum going. Or if it's not a great start, they have to go out and change the tempo of the game. So, we've had it both ways this week. Our scout team's done a phenomenal job, once again, of helping prepare the guys that are going to be out there on the floor. And, it's a mindset. I do think it gets a little mental if you go out there and the first couple possessions don't go well. But again, for us, the theme is if you keep our movement, we've generally been a pretty productive offensive team. When we get stagnant, when we don't get deflections, when we're taking the ball out of the net, we're not very good.
Going back to the implications of Connor's injury last week, was there any consideration about throwing Q out there for a couple minutes to see what he could do? And if not, just where do you feel like he's development-wise?
Yeah, I think our guys that are in the development program right now, similar to what Braden went through a year ago, not only with Q, but with Will Cooper, making the decision to redshirt. And we still feel like we've got good depth. And, this is without Oogie being on the floor. Hopefully at some point in the next couple weeks, we'll be able to get him back out there. And Leo is making progress as well, and he'll do more live work today. He was in about half of the reps in practice yesterday, and we'll make the decision with him on Sunday. So, still the depth of this team, I like where it is. So we'll continue on with the development plan for Q and with Will. But those guys have done really good. They're getting extra lifts in. They lift pretty much every day with Kurt Joseph. They're getting extra conditioning. They're always in the gym getting up extra shots, working on their game. And you never know, with the way that the season plays out. It happened to Sam. It happened to Jamarcus a couple of years ago where they got thrust into a rotation position. So, those guys just have to continue to work and keep themselves ready. And, that's what's going to benefit them in the long run.
How helpful is it with the buy-in from those guys that you can point to Braden and say, this is how it can work out? Yeah,
I think it certainly helps, with the guys that you have that have been in those situations and in those positions. It's, you talk about the development. That was the plan for Braden going in. I know I've talked a lot of times about the conversation that we almost took Braden's red shirt away with as well as he was playing. So, I'm proud of him of how he handled last season. And the thing I love about him is he just goes out and doesn't play with any fear. For, an 18-year-old kid that, his first live action, I just love the mentality that he goes out and plays with and the physicality. We need that. We need that on this team. We need his pop. We need his athleticism. We need his shot making. And he's having a great year, and I'm confident that'll continue on.
What's it like going against Coach Mack in this game? I know you say this is fun for fans.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of connections to Coach Mack with, going all the way back when he was coaching at Iowa State. I was working in the front office. I would come and scout a lot of games and spend time with him at practices. Developed a really good relationship with him. And then taking over when Mack made the decision to move on to Creighton, and then having the chance to coach Doug for a year and a half with the Bulls. I loved coaching Doug, and still keeping contact with him. And then to make it even more, my son gets the opportunity to coach him with the San Antonio Spurs for a couple years. So my wife and Teresa are good friends as well. So it's a rivalry game, but at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we do together, the Coaches versus Cancer Breakfast, a lot of the off the court things that we partner on with Coach Crutch at UNO as well. At the end of the day, when this thing's all said and done, we'll be out playing golf and having a beer together. And, that's, again, in this coaching, you have your circles, you have your people that you have to talk to, the ups and downs, the craziness of this business. So, to have people that you can talk to and run things off of, is very helpful. So, he's a great person, a good friend, and, I think we're both happy when this game's over.
Sticking with with the development thing Sam mentioned when he left, he said, imagine who would have thought Cale and Sam sitting up here before a Creighton game 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was to develop pretty well in the program. Say about them and just being the representative before this game.
Yeah, you know, I think we have 6 guys on our roster from the state of Nebraska that, you know, that this game means something. I remember that with the local guy, the in-state guys, when we played the Iowa State-Iowa game. And, you know, you've got 6 players on your team that have grew up in this with this rivalry. So, you know, it's pretty cool. And, you know, to see Cale and Sam, those guys have been on the floor at the end of games a lot for us, and that'll continue on. They're 2 guys you can trust. And, you know, they've seen the good and the bad of this series with having a couple wins, but, you know, a couple bad losses at home as well. But, you know, against really good teams. Listen, that team a couple years ago that came in here and stomped us, I mean, that was an incredible team. And then we go to their place and beat a team that was 1 play away from playing in the Final Four. So, you know, it's great for those guys. Cale growing up just down the road, Sam, you know, finishing up his high school career in Lincoln. It always means a little extra to those in-state kids. Thanks, guys.